boom, I guess is what Casey usually says. But hey, just for today, it's Chinch and Lamboo. Case couldn't make it. But we got the Big Lambooski here, everybody. Don't sweat it. You guys know who he is now. He's part of the squad. Boo, we are here. We're not going to change anything. We're going to keep going here. We got baseball to talk about. Boo, 10 years in the big leagues or minor leagues. How's that work?
Either way,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right, Yankees, man. They went through.
Chinch, I know this one's near and dear to your heart. You know, we'll get this baseball out of the way, even though it's important to us because this is a baseball show. You know, I am the 1 day a week fantasy football guy. But in terms of baseball, you know, the Yankees, the beloved Yankees over there in the Mecca, baby. Listen, when you have one of your big boys come out in the first inning and pop a three-run Oppo Taco, I think everyone in the stadium, everyone watching the game understood what the outcome was going to be. I thought they had the perfect pitcher on the mound for that. They got the extra day with the rain out, so they get to throw on Cortez. And with his history and everything that he's got, he's just one of those guys. He's got nothing to lose. You just knew he was going to go out there and give you what he gave you. He fought out of the one inning, I think in the third, where they had man on second and third or first and second, just settles down, makes his pitches, does what he have to do. And again, like I said, you get that 3-run bomb from Stanton, Oppo Taco, the place is going crazy. You can just sense it. It's like, okay, it's the Yankees night. You know, we all wanted them playing Houston rather than Cleveland playing Houston. It's a more exciting series. And, you know, again, baseball's better, football's better when the New York teams are doing their thing. And so it's no different in this one. Yeah.
And, you know, some of these Yankees who are still on that team, Judge, one of them, like, you know, it might not be the same roster, but the Yankees remember what the Astros have done to them over the past few years, especially during a little cheat gate drumbeat bongo thing.
Yeah,
you know,
the bongos. Yeah. Well, listen, if you're a Yankee, you know, fan or a Yankee player, like you want to beat the best, and you know, on your way to the championship. And we know that the Houston Astros are that team.
You want to play that. Yeah, you got to go through them. It's more fun that way anyway, dude. The Phillies, I love their swagger, man. I love their swagger.
I'll tell you something right now. I think with the Phillies, man, people don't realize is that Bryce Harper, who was, you know, I think he was the MVP last year. I'm not exactly sure, but I know he's that type of upper echelon talent. When you go out there and you lose him for as long as you do, and you still stay above water, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get the playoffs, you get a little mojo, you eliminate, you know, a great Braves team. Yeah, they're playing with house money right now, and they're dangerous. You know, Wheeler and that Nola back-to-back in a series. I mean, right now they're throwing the ball as good as any two people in this game, and you just don't want to place the Phillies right now. I mean, Schwarber hits an absolute rocket missile to the second deck last night in the sixth inning.
Oh, my God, almost 500 feet he almost hit it.
It's just a laser beam, a missile. So you got your power guys, you got your stars, him and Harper doing their thing. It's an interesting situation down the Philly. And I have to say, Kevin Long is one of my favorite people in the world in baseball. He was a hitting coach for some of the minor league teams I played on for 5 years. We won championships together. He just has something. He won them with the Yankees. Chinch, you know, he was there back in the day with Jeter and those guys and Rodriguez. And when the Yankees had those incredible teams, he's just the type of guy that we talked about Rizzo in the locker room, even though he's just a coach. Guys love him. They got some mojo in Philly right now, and I love it.
I love it, too. Bryce Harper this postseason. First series, he had, let's see, just 7 ABs, went deep. Against Atlanta, forget about it, dude. 16 at-bats, 8 for 16, 3 doubles, 2 dongs, and he's got a big fly in this one. I mean, I root for him, man, because he gets, like, all of a sudden, like, Trout was the shiniest toy in the shed, like, when he came up, and so, like, Harper got kind of, like, pushed away. Dude, he's an all-timer. And he's an all-time gamer, you know what I mean?
Dude, I mean, the hustle, the stuff that when he first came up, there's a lot to like about Harper. And again, like I said, rested, had to miss some time. All of a sudden, healthy now. You insert him into a lineup or into a team that's, you know, kept its head above water. And it's like, okay, we don't just get an injection of some September call-up. You get an MVP type player who can come up with big hits, can carry your team. And oh, by the way, he is. You know, like I said, when your number one player, when your star is out there going 8 for 16, and then he gets a bomb in the first game for San Diego off an incredibly tough pitcher, you know what I mean? Like, like here we go. Here we go, Phillies.
All right, good. So we got about 20 minutes to dive into the NFL season.
We got it.
Here, Boo, this is how I'm going to start it off. Most people probably had a lot of like guys playing in a 1 p.m. slate, the Eastern slate, because there were so many 1 p.m. games.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my teams, you know, while I'm working, and I keep looking. I'm like, God, I'm doing nothing today. God, these guys are doing nothing today. And then about an hour later, I check. I had the red zone on. I'm watching. I don't see any of my guys doing anything. Hour later, I check and I'm winning in both of my leagues. And I'm like, what is this? It's because everybody sucked last Sunday, didn't they? What's your take?
Definitely scoring was down. So if you had a mediocre to pretty good week, you're looking up like, wow, I'm going to win this week. When it's like, what if my guy's done? You know what I mean? And again, that's just fantasy football. I like to see scoring. I think a lot of people like to see scoring, but it just hasn't happened this year for whatever reason. You look at some of these offenses, you're like, are you going to get it together? This is week 6. Like, are you going to get it together? What have you been working on in the offseason? It almost makes you question the way the NFL works and all the time the guys have off and the fact you can't hit and all these things. It's like more guys get hurt. It's like back in the day, Chinch, I get it. I know what the players union, everything fought for. Guys are going to be like, it's too crazy. We don't want to hit the head injuries. We see them with Tua and what's going on. So it's just we're somewhere in the middle because I think the level of play and the continuity and the things that again. We hit every day when I was young. My high school coach is a legend. We hit every single day. I remember I got a stinger one time, and every day, the first time I hit somebody for 2 weeks straight, I got a stinger, and it kept on going down my arm. And nowadays, we know that's not good. You should probably be sitting out. But I'm waiting and anticipating the first contact that I'm making every day, and a stinger all the way down my arm. But there's something to say about landing and falling and understanding how to not get hurt in the game. And you don't just do that by sitting around. By looking at film, by looking at, the other team. You got to go out there and do it. And so I don't know if I have the answer for that, Chinch, but, the level of football right now, and again, it'll get better. These guys work hard and get it. Maybe we just figure out that defense is a little bit ahead of the offenses this year. And we got to give some credit to some defenses, some defensive coordinators, and the level of play of the defense.
Yeah, great. All right, so what else you got from that?
Really, week 6 observation. The number one thing on top of my list, Chinch, and I wanted to talk about this, in detail, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, if you want to get a get-right game, you come in and face the Steelers. The problem is the Steelers are prideful. And I talk about my Steelers in length, but I know them. I know them better than anybody. My friends called me like, 10-point game is going to be bad. I go, no, this is like, if I give credit to Mike Tomlin, and I've been knocking him down a few pegs lately. If I give credit, it's like, no, that's the worst loss in 30 years for the Steelers. Beware, buyer beware when you come into our backyard. Right. If you think you're just going to come in here and get a victory and it's going to be easy. Now, they're not a very talented team. So football's football. If you're a better team, you show up, you execute, you're the better team. Tampa just wasn't. They didn't execute. Tom looks lost. He's got stuff going on in the offseason. He's got stuff going on during the season we've never seen before. We always look at Tom and say, hey, this guy can compartmentalize anything. And you like that Columbia word, compartmentalize. Very good. It's almost like promulgate, okay? But not as good. Anyway, so we take that and we're like, Tom will figure it out. Now, Tom will figure it out. Oh, it's the Steelers this week, man. Look what they did in Buffalo last week. No. You got punched in the mouth, Tom. You look terrible. You're screaming at your guys, and first of all, you're not there on Saturday in the walkthroughs. You're at Robert Kraft's wedding. Yeah. The guy by the name of Bill Belichick, he was pretty close with Robert Kraft. He's out there worried about beating Cleveland and smacking them, which he did again. So, and again, Tom went and won the Super Bowl with Tampa when Bill was having a good season. So it's almost like, we try to compare those two being tied together. But the fact of the matter is, like, they're both great in their own right. Yeah. But Tampa does not look right. And again, this past week versus Steelers, you thought, you know what? They'll be able to do it. Maybe there's more to it. And again, Tom with the outburst on the sideline and all the things you're going to wherever you went for personal reasons during the I'm looking at you as a teammate and Chinch. We talk about the championship, the Lord of the Rings, and Tom is that guy. Yeah. So it's hard for me to even question him. I'm one of the few guys with rings that can come close to him. So when I speak about this, I feel like I have a little bit of credibility. The fact of the matter is, when you're leaving your team in the off season, spring training, whatever you want to call it, the training camp, then you fly out to go to a wedding and you're not there for the. I know we give Tom a pass and he probably deserves it, but if I'm a player on that team and I don't have the history with Tom, I got to be looking at you being like, yo, man, are you all in?
I agree.
I know you can win, but are you all in with me?
I
have to question that. What do you think, Chinch?
No, I completely agree. Now, you have him in a couple different leagues, right?
I have him in every league, and the crazy thing is
did you bench him yet?
No,
Oh,
well, I benched for Marcus Mariota the 1 week, and it worked out for me.
nice.
I couldn't do it because I'm like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
do it 2 weeks in a row where he's got a tough matchup.
yeah.
Obviously, versus Steelers, you're not benching him after
No,
what you saw Josh Allen do. You're riding him out.
right.
I won all my leagues this week, the big boy leagues, Chinch, because I had I have a great lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't need my quarterback. And Tom threw a quarterback touchdown late, and it was Fournette, who I have. So that's a double bing. So I, like you, was like, man, it's not happening this week. Then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's happening.
Yeah,
I'm actually scoring enough points to get victories. And so Tom hasn't hurt me, but it's making me think now, like, okay, do I have to, play my backup? Do I have to kind of really stream and look? And it's like, no, I'm going to give Tom the benefit of the doubt after this week. It was ugly. Let's see what happens this week against a Carolina team that is not very good, at least offensively. Defensively, they have some talent. So I'd ride them again this week. And then if it doesn't happen this week, I'm starting to push the panic button.
Good to know. All right. Well, how about let's get to the waiver wire now, because there's so much shit out there, and there's guys being signed out of nowhere. There's oh my God, what happened since we've been gone? Robbie Anderson got traded.
Yeah, he sure did.
Brown goes down. Right? Shoot.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you got?
Marquise, your boy Marquise.
Yeah.
All right. Waiver wire. Let's start off with the quarterbacks. A lot of guys on buys this week. You got Buffalo. You got Philadelphia. You got some big name quarterbacks on buys. So you might need to stream. I just mentioned the guy, and I'll go back to him. Marcus Mariota. It's never pretty with Marcus Mariota. It's not going to be a 300-yard day and 3 touchdowns and stuff, but it's effective. And it's effective because he runs the ball, and he's done it with success. And Atlanta is tied to the run. They're committed to it. And, it helps because, again, they run that RPO game, and there's a couple plays a week where he's just boom. He's out there getting you some points. And again, he only threw a few passes this past week, but I think he was 100%. He was 11 for 11. But either way, he gets another one in on the ground. He's got an okay matchup this week with I'm not even sure who it is, but I think it might be the Bengals. Either way, don't expect the highest ceiling, but a guy you can definitely hold on to. And if he's your backup quarterback to those guys, not a bad guy to have in case something happens with an injury. The other quarterback that I look at is none other than Matty Ice. Okay, Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville smacked him in the mouth. They tried to stay committed to the run and Jonathan Taylor. This week, they knew they had no Jonathan Taylor, no Naheem Hines. They came out and threw the ball 58 times, Matty Ice. The most impressive thing about that is that when you looked at that last week's, not this past Thursday, but Thursday night before that against Denver, in that slot fest we talked about, you're like, oh man, Matty Ice, man, you can't drop back and not get nailed and not turn the ball over. Well, he said, you know what, Lamboo, stick it up your hairy arse, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop back 58 times. I'm going to complete 42 of my passes, and we're going to win this game against Jacksonville after they've had our number for the past, I don't know how many times we played. So you got to respect that. You got to look at him and say, hey, if they're going to turn that over, if Jonathan Taylor's coming back and they're not going to be committed to the run like they were, Matty Ice is proven. He's an MVP, 2016. He's throwing the ball a lot, and maybe he can help you out.
You know what? Here, maybe just think one thing. So we talked about Russ plenty of times. We talked about Brady plenty of times so far. Matty Ice had a bad start to his season. He's the only one that's corrected it. He's the only guy that corrected it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, again, like I said, I think a little bit of that was they went totally against what they usually want to do as a football team when they realized, listen, our line was supposed to be better. We're going to play smash mouth. We're going to run it against your will. And they came out totally this week and used a great philosophy. You know what? No, we're going to abandon the run. And we're just going to throw the ball, and we're going to wind up winning this game. And it worked. If it didn't work, we'd be like, "Wow, they're a mess." But it did. Yeah. So, all right. In the running back position, we'll move right along to Latavius Murray. Listen, this was a big surprise on Monday night because for those Melvin Gordon owners, you're like, all right, listen, he's fumbled early on, but he still is a very good running back in this league, and he looks good, and he can receive the ball at the backfield. And Denver's looking for answers. And then you take Latavius Murray again off the street, practice squad. Okay, you activate him, and he pretty much is the number one running back there, getting the bulk of the carries, and he looks pretty good. I'm not saying that Melvin Gordon isn't a better running back or doesn't have more top end speed, maybe to break out, break away and get you in the end zone on a longer run. But Latavius Murray is serviceable, and Nathaniel Hackett must be just looking for answers or seeing enough in practice or the fumbles early on the season to just say, hey, Melvin, you sit on the sideline and watch, and Mike Boone, who we thought maybe could get some carries. He's really the backup, just to change of pace guy. So it's Latavius Murray's job right now. I would still pay attention to it because you know, and I'm not sure if Gordon should be, you know, on the outs like that. I mean, he hasn't fumbled in 2 weeks, but it's definitely where if Latavius is out there, you got to go pick him up.
Nice.
All right. The other running back that I looked at last week is, and who could be helpful. Let me get rid of that, Chinch. Is
good job.
Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake comes in for an injured, you know, Dobbins, whose knee kind of locked up on him. And Drake looks like a world beater. He rips off like 2 30-yard runs, a 20-yard run for a touchdown, has 10 carries for like 119 yards and a touch. And it's like, okay, they went out and got him. And if you know Baltimore is always going to be committed to wanting to bludgeon you. They want to run the ball, okay? And they want to do all that stuff with Lamar Jackson off the run. So you look at a guy like Kenyon Drake and you're like, okay, what's going to happen? Gus Edwards is coming back soon. Let's not forget Gus Edwards is a 5-point-something yards per carry average in his career. They love Gus Edwards. He's not a receiver at the backfield. He's just going to run downhill, sort of what they want to do. But Baltimore will give you a couple different backs, you know, successful carries. And what's not to like about Drake this past week? It looked much better than Dobbins. He looked explosive. I mean, Dobbins is still there, and if his knee's not locked up. So it's just a muddy situation. You have to pay attention to Gus Edwards. But at this point, you know, if Dobbins' knee is not good and you get a running back, a starting running back, Drake, that's going to go out and then get you 15 to 20 carries. At this point in the season, I mean, you just can't pass that up. So go and spend some fab on him. You know, he's definitely a grab right now that you can grab and see where it goes.
I like that.
All right. And Caleb Huntley is the other running back that I'll talk about, because I basically look at that and I'm like, okay, Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley for Atlanta. They want to run the ball. Peterson's still on IR, not sure when he's coming back. Like, if you can get a guy that's getting 15, 16 carries, guys, on a waiver wire, you gotta spend some money on him. You got to pick him up and see what happens, you know? So Caleb Huntley is one of those guys where, you know, he's a bowling ball. He's a big physical guy that runs downhill. Atlanta wants to establish the run this year. So definitely go out and get him and see what happens with that situation. I mean, in a flex, in a desperation, you're bludgeoned by injuries. You said you got the Marquise Brown. You're looking for a guy who can replace him. You know, Caleb Huntley, he's not going to wow you, but hey, if something happens to Tyler Algier, if he happens to get in the end zone a few times, it's a great pickup and play, you know, for anybody at this point in the year.
I like that one. All right.
Yeah. The only other running back I will mention is Kyron Williams. He's the running back for the LA Rams that had a lot of preseason hype. This is a deeper sleeper. This is the Big Lambooski teaching you about the deeper sleepers. Like, this is not a guy a lot of people are going to talk about. Well, he rolled his ankle, that high ankle sprain, bad ankle sprain, the first week of the season. So again, they said about 6 to 8 weeks. We're coming up on week 7 in the season, right about the 6-week mark of the injury. You already got Cam Akers. Literally, we talked about in the beginning of the year, I didn't want any shares of him. Guess what? It went from bad to worse with that guy. The guy's on the outs. They're looking to trade him. Even McVay's like, yeah, fresh start for this guy, be better. OMG, what happened there? So you got obviously Darrell Henderson, who they like, but if you look at Darrell Henderson, he is who he is. He's not going to bust off an 80-yard run, a 60-yard run, you know, an explosive play. He's a good running back. He receives the ball in the backfield. He's tougher than you think, but you're always looking for the other guy. McVay's always looking for that running game to spark. So that guy, Kyron Williams, was a guy that he liked coming into the season, had the injury, might start to get on the field more. Just somebody, if you got room on your bench, man, stash him. And hey, who knows what happens, right?
All right, keep going. Very good, very good.
All right,
keep
brother.
going.
All right. The wide receivers we're going to mention, all right? I talked about this guy before. I'm going to say it again, and it's perfect for you with your Marquise Brown situation. Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore was a guy that Arizona drafted to be that like gadget guy and stuff, but they pictured it with a Marquise Brown blowing the top off the defense and a guy by the name of DeAndre Hopkins, who is in all world, you know, when he's healthy,